Are we back? Are we in this thing? I think we are. I hope we are. So today, as we get into things, we're just shiny hunting. Last time, we shiny hunt some Polyworld, which we only got one. Looking back through some of that footage, there are at least two moments where I'm like, that was definitely a shiny. Why did I not just walk up to that? It was so obvious in retrospect. I don't know why I didn't do it. So that's the first thing. The second thing, we hunted Polyworlds. We hunted Libanes, Swaddles, and then we hunted Applin, which it took us like a full hour to find an event Applin. Today we're hunting Smolives, Charcadets, and Palafins. I think we're gonna do Palafins first, and I see most of the Palafins are on Lake Castleroy, aka Lake Lag. So I kind of want to avoid Lake Castleroy, whatever it's called, the main lake, because in the main lake there's Veluza, and that sucks for shiny hunting. Having to deal with Veluza is awful. So if we can, I'm going to avoid that. Instead, I want to focus. We're going to do Finizen. Did I call them Palafin? Finizen. We're going to do Finizen here in this little river. We do need a water type, however. Use this nice. I've traded a lot of stuff away from this game, so I don't exactly know what water types I have. Because, I don't have my Palafin. I put that back in Pokemon. I have that one. Work. Yeah, that's just straight up a Regieleki. Where did that come from? Where did I get a Regieleki? Huh. I have no idea. How strange. I don't know where that came from. I'm not seeing too much else. I'll just go with Regieleki. Yeah, there we go. I think that it flies, right? And, electric against whatever we've got. That should work. I think that'll be fine. It doesn't float on water? What? Okay, that sucks. Okay, we're gonna need a minute here. Oh, I need to open up the Pokemon card pack. Well, I'm trying to figure this out. Yeah, let's just use this Quagsire. It's level 70. These things are... That should be fine. Alright. Let me open up a Pokemon card pack real quick. Shining Revelry. We got a Varoom, a Charmeleon, a Hitmonchan, a Voltorb, and a Floragato. I still don't have Masquerade. I've gotten so many of the other two. I don't have Floragato or Masquerade. We've actually, way back in like season 1 or 2 of this show, okay, probably season 2 or 3, we actually shiny hunted Palafins, or Finizen, I mean. We've actually done this shiny hunt before, and last time we couldn't find anything. The last time we did the shiny hunt, it didn't go so well. We did it for like multiple hours, at least an hour or 2, and it didn't exactly work out. So hopefully we have better luck this time. We only need 2, which isn't so bad. We only need 2. But I know we have to do it here on the river, and the river kind of sucks. But trust me, it is better than going in the lake. The lake does suck. Just straight up, outright. The lake is awful. I hear a gimme girl as well. So today, what are we actually doing for the show? Main topic of the show is the Mario Kart Direct. Yes, it happened. Oh boy, was it underwhelming. We'll talk about it. Then we do have some news, mostly about price stuff. There are a few Switch 2 stories. We finally did, earlier today, we did get pre-order dates and whatnot. So we'll, of course, I've got some of all that information. We'll talk about it. And then we've got WIBE. We got a food thing. We got Splatoon 3, which I'm going to talk about. Mario Kart DS. You know, a few things like that. And then I want to talk about Daredevil. And then I did put on the docket Moon Girl. We might have enough time to talk about Moon. I know I pushed it off a long time ago. Like we talked about the first episode and then nothing else. But hopefully, maybe, potentially, we have time today and we get to talk about Moon Girl, because I put it in the docket just in case. I don't know if we will actually have time. Also, I'm not some of these things. I don't know. I'm not, going for anything, but I do think it is a total possibility. So yeah, that's the plan for today. I don't know. All I know is that talking about Mario Kart is going to be longer than the actual Mario Kart Direct. That's how long I do expect us to talk about Mario Kart, even if they gave us almost no new information. So I guess let's just get straight into it. So on Thursday this week, we got a Mario Kart Direct. Now, going into the Mario Kart Direct, the hope was that Nintendo would sit us down and tell us, hey, you've been freaking out about that Mario Kart price point now that the game is $80. But don't worry, here's a Mario Kart Direct that will justify the game's price point. Here's all the information you need to know, so that way you won't be worried and you can clearly see that yes, Mario Kart 8 or Mario Kart World is worth $80. That was the idea. And I want to say, like, Doug Bowser even kind of hinted at that during a recent interview. He was like, oh, once you see Mario Kart World, you'll know that, yes, it is worth the price, variable pricing and all that bullshit. So that was really the hope. We found out the Direct was going to be 15 minutes long, and that is admittedly kind of short. But, it's Nintendo. They can squeeze a lot into 15 minutes. They've done it in the past. I was not too worried going in. I was kind of hopeful that, yes, we were going to go into this Mario Kart Direct, and they were going to justify the game's price. Spoiler alert, that's not what happened. Not even a little bit. Yeah, we were really hoping that, you know, finally we were going to see all the great things Mario Kart had to offer. I had all these great ideas. Other people had all these crazy ideas. Like, I was, you know me, I'm a fan of Kind of Funny. And they had suggested, in other racing games, when you're driving around, sure, they have soundtracks, but you can also put on, like, in-game radios. Think of, like, Grand Theft Auto, right? You can put on the radio that has real-world music. So Kind of Funny, I can't remember if it was Blessing or Tim, one of them had the idea, what if while you're driving around in Mario Kart World, you have the Nintendo Music Radio that allows you to pick any soundtrack on Nintendo Music, and as you're driving around, you can just listen to it. I think that's a fantastic idea. I would have loved to have seen that in the game. Yeah, no, that didn't happen. My personal idea was a track maker, that you're kind of like Mario Kart Home Circuit, you'd be able to set different goalposts and effectively make your own laps, your own tracks. And I think that would be a really cool idea. I think there's a lot of potential there for like a track maker, especially with an open world to explore. That didn't happen either. So yeah, there were a lot of disappointments. The big thing for most people is that if you've been keeping up with the news about this new Mario Kart, if you've been watching the Nintendo Treehouse segments, if you've been on like social media and seen people at Nintendo events play this game, right? Like if you're in the know, 95% of what was revealed in this direct is things we already knew. Some of it was just like, oh, this is like the charge jump. Oh, we already knew about the charge jump. It just now has an official name. Some of it was just that. But 95% of it was just stuff we already knew. This could have been in the main Nintendo Direct like 2 weeks ago, and there would have been no issue. Honestly, there was no reason for us to wait another week for a Mario Kart Direct with things we already knew. Now, admittedly, if you are not in the know, and you only watch the Nintendo Direct, and then you watch this Direct here, sure, you know, that's not, I'm sure you had a more positive view of it than I did. But as someone who is in the know, this Direct clearly was not made for me, and I was pretty disappointed by it. I said at the time I was whelmed. I was not overwhelmed, I was not underwhelmed, I was perfectly whelmed. It was just kind of boring. Like, there was nothing, I mean, there were some disappointing things in it, but nothing that, like, killed my excitement for the game. I was just kind of whelmed. Right? It was just like, oh, okay, this is a thing that exists. Yes, I already knew all this information. It's not killing it for me, but, you know, I just kind of wish I knew, I just kind of wish there was a little more to it. I don't know. I wanted something else, and we just didn't get that here. And that kind of sucks. Alright, so what actually was in it? Give me a second, I'm just... Okay, I just got tweet Warrior64, book that market. We'll talk about it later. So the first thing they showed off is, of course, the game is open world now. New Mario Kart, open world. I still stand by this is a good idea. Everything we've seen of the open world, I think it looks really good. I think there are some interesting locations. Sure, is it weird that we're getting Moo Moo Meadows for a 4th time? Or out of all the stages they could bring back, they brought back Sky High Sundae. Yeah, some of that stuff is weird. But for the most part, I think open world Mario Kart is a good thing. I feel like in all the negativity in the price point of this game and whatnot, we've kind of lost track of the fact that no, open world Mario Kart is still a good idea. There's an inkling of a good idea here. And we've just kind of, it's not a bad thing. And this is definitely Nintendo's fault. Nintendo is in a PR crisis right now, rivaling that of, you know, previous Nintendos. I've seen, okay, real quick side tangent. I have seen a lot of people say that the Switch 2 is the next Wii U. This is not the next Wii U situation. I was there. Do not cite the ancient texts to me. I was there when they were written. I remembered what went wrong with the Wii U. What is going wrong with the Switch 2 right now is not the same thing as the Wii U. We are not in a Wii U situation. We are in a PS3 situation. We're even more closely to a Sega Saturn situation than we are the Wii U. The amount of issues with the Wii U were so numerous, and they were different things, console confusion, not being able to, tell if this is a new or an old product, bad marketing. It was a completely different ballgame. No, the Switch's problem is a PR problem and a price problem. And you know what other console had a price problem and a PR problem? The PS3. The PS3 was $600, I think. And then when people complained that it was too expensive, they just told them to buy a PS2 again, or something like that. No, actually, didn't they tell people to get a second job? It was something fucked up like that. I think they told people to get a second job. That sounds more... It was Xbox who told them to buy an Xbox 360. Either way, this is a PS3 scenario. Now, I do want to point out that the PS3 did recover, and I want to say it did outsell the 360 at the end of its lifespan. I'd have to double check those numbers. But the PS3 did recover. So, no, we are not in a Wii U situation. That's when, how people want to, like, take away words from the internet that, that saying, like, oh, this is just like that is, like, should be outlawed, that people should lose access to that word. Like, the most recent one I've seen is doomed by the narrative. If you are critiquing a book or a movie and you say, the character was doomed by the narrative, yeah, that's every fucking story. Fuck off with that. That's not criticism. It's like it persists upon itself. That's not real criticism. Fuck off. And yeah, same thing here. If you're comparing the Switch to the Wii U, fuck off. You have no idea what you're talking about. It's crazy that we're over 2 weeks in, and I still see people spreading misinformation about the whole $90 thing and the game key thing. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not perfect. $80 still kind of sucks. But man, we're 2+ weeks in, and people keep spreading the same information over and over again. No wonder Trump won the presidency. No wonder he's destroying the economy right now, and his followers are just lapping it up, even though they're all about to lose their fucking jobs, and they don't realize it. Like, no shit, this is happening. But, okay, side tangents aside, what are we actually seeing? So, we have Grand Prix mode, I always call it Grand Prix, where you do 4 races, and you drive between the races. A good idea, in my opinion. That sounds kind of fun. I know people are complaining about how there's too many straight roads, and that, I get why people complain about that, because Mario Kart's more interesting when you're doing all these turns and doing all this crazy stuff. I still think we have to play it to see it. I understand why people are kind of hesitant, especially when thinking about tracks like Baby Park or Excite Bike Arena. Let me at least try the game before I write it off as boring. Because at least, like, there's obstacles and shit. At least, they're adding new things like the charge jump that can make racing more interesting. My bigger problem with the Grand Prix mode is that you go from track to track, but you do the first track, you do 3 laps. Then on the second and third tracks, you only do 1 lap each. And then on the 4th track, I think you do 3 laps. Admittedly, some of that might be changed in the settings. I'm not entirely sure. But that's kind of my one underwhelming moment where I feel like, no, that should be a little bit... You should be doing 3 laps of each thing. Sure, it's going to take a little bit longer. And, like, I know there are some tracks that don't, like... You know how, like, Mount Wario in Mario Kart 8 doesn't loop? That's that DK Spaceport. That's a track that... I mean, technically you can loop it, but it is not a looping track by nature. So I get some of it, but some of it, no, that's not... It's just kind of a weird decision. There's a lot of weird decisions in Mario Kart. For every good new idea, there's a weird one. So Knockout Tour, on the other hand, so this is the other mode. What I thought Knockout Tour was it was going to be, you're doing 6 tracks, and after 1 lap in each track, 4 people get eliminated until you get to the final 4 and then 1 person wins. If you had asked me what Knockout Tour was, that's what I thought it was. Instead, Knockout Tour is all of the straight paths between the courses. So you are not doing the courses in Knockout Tour. You are doing the straight roads between the courses. And I could see how that could be an issue. I could see where people have a problem with that it's just all straight roads. Wasn't that... I've said that so many times now. Isn't there a game called, like, No Straight Roads? Is that a game? That sounds like a game. So I see where people have a problem with Knockout Tour. I know some people are just sick of Battle Royales as well. I think Knockout Tour is a really good idea. I think it's a good evolution of what we already have in Mario Kart. It kind of reminds me of like the Wii Bowling thing, where in Wii Sports Bowling, in the Switch Sports Bowling, you have like the tournament where it's like 16 of you, and it knocks out like 4 or 5, yeah, something like that. It knocks out a few every time. It's kind of doing something like that, and I think there's a good idea in there. So I am excited for Knockout Tour. I'm interested to see what they're going to do. But I get why people are worried. I'm just not as worried as other people. I've seen some people... There's that one competitive Mario Kart player who's like, oh, this is not what I want from Mario Kart at all. Basically being like, oh, I'm never going to play this. This isn't my competitive Mario Kart. Like, this is an entire new game mode that Mario Kart is adding. And people are just inherently writing it off as if it's nothing. I know I sound like I'm being very defensive right now, but I feel like in the battle of the prices, literally everything else has come into sight. Like, people are so mad about the price that they're basically making everything else a problem when it really isn't. Like, this is a brand new game mode that only like a select few people have played. I see no reason why this can't be interesting. But people are just like, oh, this is just another little side mode you can play. Like, if you're saying that about battle mode, I 100% get that. Battle mode has not really been relevant since Mario Kart 64. There's just something about it that people just do not like modern battle modes. I admittedly don't know about how people feel about the GameCube version, but even though I, as a kid, liked the Wii battle mode, people did not. I guess people do not like the Wii battle mode. Same thing with DS. I liked DS battle mode as a kid. People just do not like DS battle mode. I understand Mario Kart 8's original battle mode had problems. Deluxe fixed some of those problems, but I get the hesitation. But it's one of those things where it's like, nobody seems to like battle mode anymore, but they literally keep doing it just because people liked battle mode 20 years ago. And I feel like there are better things you could put your resources into. Because that's basically what Mario Kart 8 did, is Mario Kart 8 was like, oh, people don't really like battle mode, so let's just do like a stripped down version of it. Which was maybe the wrong idea. And if they had just removed... It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you remove battle mode, people are going to complain that it's not there. But if you add battle mode, people aren't going to play it. So it's... the only winning move is not to play. And the one time Nintendo did that, people, complained to high heaven. Because you can't win. But, battle mode, at least it has arenas this time. I admit, when I first saw battle mode coming back, I was like, oh god, are they doing the 8 thing again? Where you're just playing on the courses? Or are they going to do the thing where they just pick a random circle in the overworld and you're just playing on that? Because I could have seen them doing that, like Fortnite style. No, they have actual battle mode stages. At least some of them. And they've got battle balloon, or balloon battle and coin runners. Shine Battle, Cops and Robbers. I mean, nobody played it to begin with, so I get why they didn't bring it back. But still, I don't think this is going to change anyone's opinion on battle mode. People still, people haven't liked battle mode since the X64. I don't expect that to change. And the final mode is free roam. So this is, open world, drive anywheres, you explore. There are P-switches in the open world, which when you hit a P-switch, it's basically a mission, like a mission mode. Now, I like Mario Kart DS's mission mode. We'll talk about it, because I have actually been playing Mario Kart DS, and I played a little bit of its mission mode. I like the idea of Mario Kart DS's mission mode. So bringing mission mode back does sound like a good idea. And in the trailer, they say there are hundreds of P-switches to find. So supposedly, there's going to be 100 of these missions, which I don't hate that idea at all. I've seen some people compare it to Koroks. I don't think this is Koroks. I think the question mark block switches are Koroks. But no, these seem to be like actual, like side quests. They seem to be little missions you can find as you explore the world. I hope there's a little bit more to the open world than that. Like, I like the idea that as you're exploring, you can find, like, other characters that you can race. There's other stuff to do. I like some of those ideas. That, you go to Mario Bros. Circuit, you find Luigi there, do 3 races with him, and then you either unlock him, or you unlock a new character, or unlock a new costume. I don't know, something like that. We'll see if that actually happens. But I like the idea of it. I don't know, there's a lot, there were some speculation about this, but now that we know more about the game, because, like, there's a screenshot in the original trailer where it's like they're looking at the map, and you can see, like, Daisy on the map, and people are like, oh, maybe if you go to her, you'll be able to challenge her. But we think now, based on what we saw in this direct, I think that's just, online play, that if you're online, you can just see your friends on the map. So I don't think it's that, but hey, I could be completely wrong. I'd love if I was completely wrong there. But yeah, other than the P-switches, which are missions, there are Peach Coins, which presumably you're going to be able to, like, buy stuff with Peach Coins. Maybe costumes, maybe badges. We'll talk about that one in a little bit. We'll talk about that one at the end. And then there are question mark blocks, which they say do something in the world, but so far we have no idea what. And it looks like completing these missions might unlock new stuff. It might unlock costumes. It might unlock badges. It might unlock other things. We don't entirely know yet, and it's going to be curious to see what it is. Unless, of course, it's literally just a checklist. You're given a checklist of all, like, 100 P-switches you gotta hit, and if you hit them all, boom, you completed the checklist. Maybe you unlock Gold Mario. I don't know, we'll see. So they talked about some new techniques. There is the charge jump. So originally, when people saw this, who were playing the game early at the Nintendo events, they were calling it a ground trick, but it's just a charge jump. So if you hold the trick button, and while you're on the ground, your tires like build up, and then you can jump. You can jump over things like mushrooms, green shells, not red shells, but you can jump over some other stuff. You can jump onto cars, and then you can like trick on cars. You can trick on if you jump on another racer, you can trick off of them. So there are some things you can do with this. Generally, it kind of reminds me of like the wheelie in Mario Kart Wii, where, you can do the wheelie to kind of build up speed. You can use a charge jump to kind of build up a little speed. And then, it's like Mario Kart 8 where you can bump into each other to get a speed boost, kind of, on the anti-gravity sections. At least I'm choosing to take it something like that. But when it comes to like driving between all these tracks, there's clearly a bunch of like cars and whatnot you'll be able to trick off of. Presumably you'll be able to, use it to get on rails, get on walls, stuff like that. I think it's, again, if you're going to have these long straight segments, you need something to do. And if ground tricking gives you something to do, I'm all for it. Same thing with like you see in the trailer, at one point they ride into like a truck, and then they're like a truck for a little bit. There's also, at the end of the trailer, they show a helicopter footage. And then somewhere else it was revealed there's a boat that you can get in as well. You know, just giving you something to do on the long stretches. And then the other new technique they added is rewind. So while playing solo Grand Prix or free roam, so you can't do this online, you can't do this while playing with multiple people, you are able to rewind time. So like, let's say you make a jump, you miss it, you can rewind time to try to make that jump again. Is it kind of cheap? Yes. Yes, it is. But I do, in theory, like, I get where they're coming from, you know, for some of those trickier jumps, for stuff where you potentially have problems. You can use that to get it, to, you know, fix your mistakes. But while you're rewinding, nobody else is. That's a good thing. If somebody gets ahead of you, I want them to be able to get ahead of you. So overall, I do think, you know, rewind could have been far worse than it actually is. I don't really have an issue with it. Especially because I know people are going to do cool stuff with it. So, you know, you just got to wait and see. There's local and wireless play. You can play locally with 4-player split screen. So you can have... Because this was one of those features that I didn't know if it was going to come back or not. But you can play 4 players on a single system. I do wonder if we're going to be able to use Game Share. So I know Nintendo wants everybody to buy this game, so it may not have it at launch. But this is kind of one of those things where it's like, you know, you could use Game Share to get 4 people playing Mario Kart at once. That'd be pretty nice. You know, without all having to own the game. But so far, I don't think they've said anything, so until they say yes, we kind of have to assume the answer is no. So that's, you know, it's one of those things where it's been in most Mario Karts since, what, 64? It makes sense it would come back. Well, except for, like, Super Circuit and DS. You know, or 7 as well. But, you know, for the console ones. But I thought, honestly, with the new game being open world and everything, I thought there was a real chance it wasn't going to come back, or maybe it would just be 2 people. Nope, full-on 4-player split screen. Of course, if you're playing online, it's still only 2 people. If you're doing local play, well, you can play with 8 switches on local play. Local wireless. It's still only 2 people at a time. I admittedly have never used local wireless play in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I know it is a feature that is there. And I've tried to use it once, but it was so, like, we could not get it working, and it was easier just to go online and play with each other. I understand it's for people who, you know, can't go online, you know, you can't use local, you can do it without internet, but I have literally never, it's like the shoal in Splatoon, where, like, that's for local play, local wireless, but I don't know anybody who uses the shoal. Everybody just goes online and does private battles. Like, there's no real point to use it. They talked about game chat as well, since we're talking about this. Game chat, yes, of course, you know, you can game chat with up to 12 other people. So that's, you know, that's a lot. But, you know, we saw some game chat. It's also going to have camera play, so you can use, while you're playing the game, you can, you know, project your camera, and as people are racing with you, they'll be able to see you on the camera, and, you know, when you get hit by a shell, your camera does, like, a little spin. It's cute, but I don't know anybody who's actually going to use it, especially because, you know, presumably it only works with your friends. I don't even know if you can do it. Like, the one example they show of it is people in local play, because people not in local play, they're using the game chat thing and, like, the share screen. So I don't know how it's going to work for, like, you know, playing online with your friends. Can you show your face on playing with randos? No, of course not. This is Nintendo. They don't want Call of Duty lobbies. That's their last thing. That's the last thing they want, because they're Nintendo. But yeah, this is all obvious stuff that we knew was going to be here. They could have said this in the mainline direct. And they kind of said like half of this, but it's whatever. I don't know. I don't know how many people are going to actually buy one of these cameras. And it feels redundant for you and your friends all playing in the same room. Because you can just look over and see your friend's face after they get hit by lightning and they scream. They showed off some of the new choruses. Crown City, you know, are not Mushroom City, but, you know, it's still got some interesting things. I like that you can drive through, like, the giant tire. I think that's neat. Starview Peak, it's basically the Comet Observatory from Galaxy. That's a great idea for a track. I mean, I know the Comet Observatory's in Rosalina's Ice World, but, like, actually being able to drive through it is way cooler. And then Boo Cinema, I do not like Ghost Valley tracks. Ghost Valley, the Haunted Piers. The only two Ghost tracks I even kind of like is Luigi's Mansion track from DS, and then the Twisted Mansion in Mario Kart 8, which I don't even really like Twisted Mansion that much. But I think the idea of Boo Cinema, where you're literally driving into the movie, and then you're driving on strips of film, is an amazing idea for a track. And it totally makes sense for like a ghost house to have a haunted movie theater. I mean, one of my favorite moments in Luigi's Mansion 3 is when you're making the movie. So I think this is a fantastic idea for a track. I'm all aboard with this one. That one's great. And then they did reveal that if you beat all the Grand Prix, there are 7 of them by default. And then, of course, if you beat all of them, you unlock the secret 8th one, which has Rainbow Road. So Rainbow Road is unlocked for beating all the Grand Prix. And you know what? That's cool. I'm kind of glad, like, they've leaked the icon of it. But I'm kind of glad they're saving it. I really am hopeful for this Rainbow Road. Mario Kart 8's Rainbow Road was not good. I've seen some people suggest that there's going to be multiple Rainbow Roads. I wouldn't go that far. I don't think we're getting 4 Rainbow Roads. I think it's just the one. But the fact that they're making a big deal out of it, I like that. You know, Rainbow Road is the Mario Kart Final Destination. It should be kind of a big deal. You know, it should be cool and special. And that's why I don't like 8's, because 8's Rainbow Road doesn't feel special. It's just a satellite. Like, oh, woo. Yeah, sure. Does it have the sharpest turn in the game? One of them, anyways. Yes. But I don't like 8's Rainbow Road. But luckily, we got 64's Rainbow Road in that game, and 64's Rainbow Road is great. 3DS's Rainbow Road is great. Even the remake of the SNES Rainbow Road was pretty decent. And then, of course, Wii's also really good. Yeah, we got some good Rainbow Roads, just not the new one. So I'm hopeful this new one's good. They showed off classic courses. Toad's Factory's coming back. Everybody loves Toad's Factory. I get why it's coming back. You know, it's a fan favorite course. And it's a fun one. It's a fun course. Moo Moo Meadows is coming back again. Again, just weird. Out of all the courses you could have brought back, Moo Moo Meadows again. If they had brought back the other course, I think it's called Moo Moo Valley, I would get that. But Moo Moo Meadows for the 3rd time, and it looks exactly the same. I mean, it's a little different. I think that one's weird. Sky High Sunday is back. This is the Mario Kart Tour course. That's, you know, it's a giant oval. You know, people always complain about Excite Bike Arena being boring. I personally don't hate Excite Bike Arena as much as other people do. And I'm #1 Baby Park defender. Sky High Sunday, though, I will not defend. I think that course is super generic, super boring. Nothing interesting is going on. But it looks like they've made some changes to at least make it a little bit more interesting. Being able to rail grind instead of trick off the, you know, the basically skate park rails makes a lot more sense. So it does, and I like the fact that you can drive off the course and then wall ride around the corners. I think that's a cool idea. So they've made some good changes, but we'll have to see. And then there's a course that is 3 classic Mario circuits right next to each other. So it's like Mario Circuit 1, Mario Circuit 2, and Mario Circuit 3 right next to each other, which I think that makes Mario Circuit 3 the most reused course in any game. I want to say this is like the 5th game it's been in, which I think Moo Moo Meadows is only at 4. Which is crazy to think about, but yeah, totally true. I think it's Mario Bros. It's one of the Mario Bros. Circuits. I think it's Mario Bros. Circuit 3. The one with the giant V in it. But yeah, 3 Mario Bros. Circuits right next to each other, and presumably you do a lap on each one, or you can trick between each one, or it's just one long lap. I don't know how it works. I don't think we've really seen it, other than we know that it exists. But I think that's a good idea. I think that's a good idea for a track. You know, instead of just doing Vanilla Lake, you get Vanilla Lakes 1, 2, and 3. There's a good idea in there. I get why they did that. Of course, they showed off, you know, characters. You've got all your classics, Mario, Luigi, Peach. But then you've got the Goomba. You've got the Spike. You have the cow, which isn't named Moo Moo for some reason, even though it's Moo Moo's Meadow. Whatever. Of course, they didn't show, you know, there was a hope that, you know, they were going to show off at least one new character, or, you know, just hint that there are more characters to unlock. No, they didn't. We did not see a single new character there. Potentially they have showed off every character. I don't think they have. I feel like there are some things like Moais and potentially like Thwomps that could be characters that we just haven't seen yet. But there's kind of like hints that they're going to be there. So I haven't given up hope that there are things we haven't seen. But what we have seen is, so in the demos that people have been playing of Mario Kart World at Nintendo events, each character costume is treated as a separate character. Now, when I first saw that footage, I assumed, oh, this is just something Nintendo's doing for the demo. So that way, you know, you can pick your character and pick your costume. And I, as well as many other people, figured that in the final game, you would just pick which character you want. So you pick Mario, and then it leave you to a second menu, which would give you the option, oh, do you want to be cowboy? Do you want to be farmer? Do you want to be, you know, sushi chef Mario? Mexican Mario? Right? It would give you the choice. Because that's how it works in Mario Kart 8. And guess what? It works fine in Mario Kart 8. But now, watching the Direct, we now know that's not how this is going to work. It's going to work. Instead, you have an 11-page menu where every costume is counted as its own character. Like, you know how people complain in Mario Kart 8 that, like, oh, we've got Mario, we've got Gold Mario, we've got Silver Mario, we've got Tanuki Suit Mario, we've got Cat Suit Mario. Like, there's too many Marios. There's Baby Mario. This game just took that and put it up to 11. You've got Mario, you've got Cowboy Mario, you've got Sushi Chef Mario, you've got fucking Mexican Mario. I don't actually know if Mexican Mario is going to be in it. I kind of doubt it. But, you know, anything's possible. Each costume is its own character. And presumably it doesn't change the stats at all. It might, but, you know, we've seen nothing that indicates that, yeah, costumes change stats. So it's really fucking weird. Someone put on Twitter, did Nintendo fire their UI designer? It really kind of feels like in the past year or two, Nintendo has fired all their UI designers. Echoes of Wisdom had an awful UI where it was just one giant fucking bar with like over 100 tabs on it. Now, admittedly, the designers of Echoes of Wisdom did try to like justify it and be like, oh, well, the reason we did that is so that way when you're scrolling through looking for something you want to use, maybe you'll find something that you never considered and use that instead. I get that. That, honestly, when you explain it like that, I think that makes sense. But then you have like the Switch's UI. Hey, guess what? It's the exact fucking same UI as the normal Switch. No themes or anything, at least that we know of yet. Hey, guess what? Mario Kart 8's UI. It's the main menu is the exact, or Mario Kart World, I mean. Mario Kart World's UI is the same UI, like main menu screen, as Mario Kart 8. Sure, did they change some things, you know, like the menus kind of look like road signs now? Yes, but it's still basically the same UI. It functionally looks the same, does the same thing. It's just more aesthetically appealing now. And then you have this. Someone did the math. If you're playing 4-player split screen, Mario Kart 8, and you want to go through the character menu with all the costumes we've seen so far, that is 26 pages of characters. Because it only displays, I think, 6 to 8 characters at a time. That is 26 fucking pages. What the fuck are you thinking, Nintendo? Did you fire all your UI designers? I think they might have. Because this is, like, again, Echoes of Wisdom makes sense. I get that explanation even if I don't love the UI. This Mario Kart UI makes no sense. What are you oh, let's say you want to play as like Baby Daisy in like the sailor outfit, and you're scrolling through to get to like page 23. What, does Nintendo expect you to see like, oh hey look, there's Luigi in his beach attire. I guess I'll play that instead, because that's only on page 10 instead of page 26. Is that what they expect? Or you like run out of time while looking for a character? Like, I have no idea what they're doing with this UI. It's awful. It is an awful decision. That I'm sure the explanation I just give is what they're inevitably going to say, but it feels rushed. Which is very weird, because this is a game that's potentially been in development for like 5 years, that Nintendo says justifies its $80 price point as a deluxe premium Nintendo game, and yet the UIs are reused and sloppy. Like, I'm not saying it's bad. Well, okay, I kind of am. Like, elements of it are bad. But if you want to give off that, like, deluxe vibe, this ain't doing it, Nintendo. This ain't winning anybody over. Again, it's not gonna kill the game for me. It's just a fucking UI at the end of the day. But this could have been so much better. Hopefully you'll be able to like favorite a character or something like that, so that way they appear at the start of the UI every time. So that way, you know, you don't have to go rushing to page 20 to find it. But it's Nintendo. Literally anything is possible. Oh, so speaking of characters real quick. I had to throw this in somewheres. One of the characters that is technically a third-party character that people thought would be cool to come back is Rob. Rob, for some inexplicable reason, is in Mario Kart DS. And people thought like, oh, it'd be cool if Rob comes back. Now, a few weeks ago when I made my Mario Kart World prediction video, I predicted a bunch of characters that will be added into the game. And one of the categories I made was carts. Characters that would be turned into carts. And I actually predicted that the dolphin was going to be turned into a cart. And guess what? They turned the dolphin into a cart. Of course, they also made the dolphin a character. But they made it a cart as well. Well, in this new trailer, we find out Rob has returned to Mario Kart World, but he's now a cart. He's specifically a motorcycle. There is a Rob motorcycle in this game. And while yes, do I want them to bring Rob back so that way Rob can drive on the Rob cart, and the same way the Wiggler can drive on the Wiggler cart, or the Dolphin can drive on the Dolphin motorcycle? Yes, I do want that. But I honestly just think the Rob cart looks pretty cool. Like, they turned him into a bicycle. And it literally says the family computer robot on the side. It's classic Rob. I think it uses the Japanese design of Rob. Or it uses the red instead of the gray that the American one uses. Is that right? Yeah, the American one is like a gray, whereas the Japanese one's more red. Either way, I think Rob Motorcycle is cool. Man, it's going to be so fun to play as Cataquack riding my Rob Motorcycle. That's so fucking weird and random. I say that like I'm not just going to continue to play Rosalina, who I've played in like every one of these games except for what? Ever since Rosalina's been added, I've played in hers in every game except for 7, because she's not in 7. At least I don't think she is. But I did play Rob in DS, by the way. Rob is the DS character I play as. I just think it's neat. They talked about new items. Again, if you're up to date on things, if you're watching streams, you already knew about all these. They added a coin box. You hit it, you get some coins, but it also spits out coins behind you. There's a coin shell, which admittedly I do not remember if it works like a green shell or a red shell, but either way it spits out a trail of coins, which, I mean, coins seem to be as useful in this game as any other. They may even be more useful in this one, so I'm not too beaten up about it. I would have liked some more. I feel like there are more interesting ideas for items, but whatever. There's a Hammer Bros thing, which is like, you know how like the boomerang is short range? Imagine that, but again. Okay, whatever. It could be useful. Admittedly, I'm very quick to judge that one. Ice Flower, okay, it's the Fire Flower, but it kind of like, it spins you out and then it like slows you down a little bit. Okay, at least it's a little different. The Mega Mushroom's back from Wii. Okay. The Feather is back from... Well, technically, I think Feather's in SNES, the original game, but it was in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, had the Feather, but only in battle mode. But you can use the Feather. It does allow you to... Right, I said charge jumps cannot dodge red shells. Feathers can dodge red shells. So if you need to use a Feather, you can use that. I do not think it'll be able to dodge a blue shell. It'd be cool if it could. I'd actually like the idea of it being able to dodge a blue shell. It kind of like how the mushroom can dodge a blue shell, but it's like a 5 or 6 frame window. If the Feather could dodge a blue shell, but it's also like a 5 to 6 frame window, that'd be cool. But I don't see them doing that. Oh shit. And then there's Kamek. Kamek finally got to be a racer in Mario Kart 8. They have unracered him, and he's now an item. And when you use the Kamek item, like the example they give in stream, is that it turns everybody into a charging chuck, and then it puts a bunch of charging chucks on the course to, like, attack players. So there are some weird things it can do. I don't know what, like, actual negative effects that will have, because it's not like a permanent thing. Or like, it spawning enemies, I think, is a good idea, but the fact that it also turns all the characters into something else, it's kind of weird, but, you know, I guess it could be useful. I do feel like the Kamek's going to be one of those rarer items, kind of like a blue shell or a lightning, where you only get it back in previous places. Well, we'll just have to see. They showed off the drive-thrus. There are Yoshi burgers. You can go through the drive-thru. And of course they serve like sushi. You know, there's pizzas, there's steak. There's a bunch of different things you can get from the Yoshi burgers. And when you eat the item, it gives you it's like a mushroom. It gives you a speed boost. But then you get a new costume. Does that actually do anything other than unlocking a new costume? As far as I can tell, no. As far as I can tell, it just gives you a new costume. Maybe the different costumes have stats, which could, in theory, suck, because, you know, you go in with the perfect costume, you know, to maximize your mini turbos, and then you get there, and then you get a food bag, and it turns you into a different costume that completely ruins your mini turbos. Yeah, it's going to be really weird if all the costumes have different stats. Like, that's just, you know, Pink Gold Peach, but on steroids. And I know people don't want that. At least some people don't. What else? They showed off some other mode stuff. Time Trial's back, obviously. oh, you can download Ghost Data online. Presumably the game comes with staff Ghost Data, just like Mario Kart 8. You know, nothing new there. Versus modes are back, but it looks, from the way it sounded like they described it, you go into Versus, you pick a track you want to race on, but then you can pick another track, and in theory it could be any other track, and it will literally create a route to that next track, including tracks that normally don't link up, creating brand new paths. So like, let's say you start off at Peach Stadium, and then you go over to, I don't know, Starview Observatory. Those tracks normally do not connect. But from what it sounded like, you'll be able to like go off-road and like get from one track to another. Like it'll make it work, which I like the idea. I had suggested this beforehand when we created our own Mario Kart game a few weeks ago. I like the idea of being able to create your own playlist of tracks. And if this game is able to, you know, you create your own playlist, but it also, you know, sets up the paths between, even if the tracks aren't too close to each other, that's good. That does definitely need more driving time between areas. And, you know, I don't want this turning into the next Fuel. But I think there's a good idea there. It does also potentially, though, sound like it's limited to you can only do 2 tracks at a time. There does potentially seem to be some limitations, but we'll just kind of have to wait and see. And then finally, they talked about in online races, because there are now 24 players. Well, you can do, you know, teams of 2, so a red team and a blue team. You can now do teams of 4, so red, blue, yellow, and green, with 6 players on each team. I think that's a fantastic idea. Being able to do 4 teams is great. That definitely, you know, since you're doubling the amount of teams, that's more points, you know, evenly spread. There's a good idea there. I do like that. So that is nice. That's a cool, nice online feature. What else? They called it roadside assistance. This is your accessibility features, you know, smart steering, auto acceleration, tilt controls, you know, for people who want that. It's going to be in every Mario Kart game till the end of time, you know. It's Nintendo's gimmick. They do have a new assist mode feature, though, called auto items. Even though, you know, this direct was only 15 minutes long, and they had time to talk about the new shit, for some reason, they did not talk about what auto items is. Presumably, my guess is that because if you're playing with auto steering, the game can basically play itself, but it will never use items. So presumably auto items will just automatically use the item when you get it. Either that, I'm assuming that's what it does. It's just like, oh, you drive through a set of item boxes, it'll automatically use the item once it's like fully spun the wheel. Or, you know, maybe it like waits for like a pristine time. Like, maybe if you've got a green shell and there's a player in front of you, maybe that'll trigger it. I don't know. I don't expect it to be complicated, but it'd be cool if it was. But we'll just kind of have to wait and see. And that was the last thing they really showed off. Yeah, I definitely did not talk about all that stuff in order. I mostly copied stuff off the press release, but you get the idea. Now, the last thing I do want to talk about, that they did not talk about in the showcase, but I now have a new theory for, is I think there are going to be badges in the game. So ever since the original reveal trailer for this game, when the Switch 2 was revealed, on the side of Mario's cart, there is a little thing that says 1UP Fuel. And you know, when the game was first revealed, a lot of people were like, oh, is this going to be like a fuel tank? Do you have to keep track of your fuel in this game? I don't think that's what this is. I instead think this is more like the custom decals in Mario Kart DS. Maybe they're not going to be as customizable, but my theory for this is when the trailer shows off the main menu, you've got solo play, multiplayer, online, local wireless, and then below it you have 3 icons, and one of them is the 1UP Fuel badge, and I'm like, why the fuck is that there? Presumably that's like player stats and info, but why does it say 1UP Fuel? And then somebody pointed out that in the trailer, when the player drives over that question mark block, it says question mark panel activated, and it shows a little sunshine logo, like one of the shine sprites from Mario Sunshine. What if, when you play through the online, the single player story mode, right, the adventure mode or whatever it is, you unlock different badges, and you can pick which badge displays on the side of your cart. So sure, by default you start off with the 1-up fuel badge, but as you play through the game, you'll unlock new badges, and presumably there's over 100 badges. Because, previously I had suggested like they do like a license plate feature, where you can make your own license plate, and I still think that is totally possible, even though it's very unlikely now. But what if instead of license plates, you have a badge, and each player can, sure, there's 100 of them, so there are bound to be repeats. But, yeah, no, I think there's a lot of potential there for, like, badges that you unlock as you play. Matt in the Cadillac. Yeah, of course I remember you. It's good to see you again. We're talking Mario Kart 8. What you think? Or Mario Kart World, I mean. Did you see the trailer? What did you think? I don't know if you can hear. I feel like my voice is giving out. We have been talking so much these past few weeks. I kind of feel like my voice is giving out. Oh, that is not good. It is not nice. I mean, maybe if you don't live in America, but in America, it is only $80. The $90 thing is fake news. It is only $80. If you live in Canada, however, it's $110. Yep, the game is more expensive in Canada. But that's because, right now the American dollar is kind of tanking. Totally the president's fault. But no, the game is only $80. Still a very steep price point, by the way. For real? Nope, the $80 digital, $90 physical thing, fake news. $90 across the board. Yep, that's fake news. There's been a lot of it. People are very mad at Nintendo right now. So, it spreads like wildfire. Yeah, no, that's kind of all I gotta say about Mario Kart. I will say, even though the Mario Kart Direct was disappointing, because I feel like there was almost no new information, I am still excited for this game. I am still excited for Mario Kart. It's just, I've got some real concerns. Like, yes, there's a part of me that thinks they're also going to have DLC in the game. And if there's DLC, now that's how the game could get to $90, is if Mario Kart 8 has DLC, they could charge, 10, 20, $30 for DLC, and then just add like a DLC island or something. Like someone suggested, like they add Isle Delfino, and then that has like, it has Sunshine Airport. It's got, one of the beaches. It's got Baby Park. And yeah, they could totally do that. I don't know. There's a lot of potential for things. But yeah, I'm still excited for the game. I just don't think it's worth $80. At least, this was Nintendo's point to come out and be like, yes, this game justifies its $80 price. And they just didn't do that. I'm glad it ain't $90, but $80 is still a shit ton for a game. Especially when other games go for like $60 for a base game. Well, see, and that's the thing. Soon, all base games are going to be $70. Like, regardless of what's going on, all game prices are going to start going up to $70. And then there's going to be shit like GTA. Which, to be fair, the whole GTA being $100 thing is also kind of fake news. Like, nobody at Rockstar has said GTA 6 is going to be $100. There is not even... That rumor did not come from Rockstar. Not even, like, someone inside of Rockstar. Like an alleged leaker. But yeah. I'm actually playing offline right now. To do these raids in the game, I have to play offline. Because if I go online, I lose access to the shiny raids. Because this is an event that's like a month and a half old. And because we just didn't do it at the time because we were busy playing Donkey Kong, the second I go online, I lose all the shiny events. So sadly, I can't do it. Or else I'll lose access to all these shinies. Anything else I got about Mario Kart? I'm still gonna buy it. I don't know how much I talk about this. I love Mario Kart. Like, if I ever had to be like, oh yeah, this is a game I could be a professional in, I could see myself being a professional Mario Kart player. I used to be so good. When Mario Kart 8 first released on the Wii U, I was so good at that game. And then I admittedly didn't play it for like 5 years because I didn't pick it up on Switch because I already had the Wii U version. I didn't need to buy the Switch version. And then I finally bought it. And then like 3 months later, they announced the Booster Course Pass, which made me glad I did buy it. But yeah, I almost didn't buy Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But no, I love Mario Kart. Especially, like, I'll be honest, I have no nostalgia for 64. Like, 64 was the first Mario Kart game I played, and I have no nostalgia for that. I don't even know if I've ever played Double Dash, if I'm being honest. The first Mario Kart game I played was DS, which I loved DS at the time. Admittedly, I don't know if it holds up as well as I'd like it to. We'll talk about it, because I have been playing DS this week. But yeah. But no, I am excited for this new Mario Kart. And I'm going to pay the $80. I'd pay the 110 Canadian dollars. But that's because I am personally very invested in Mario Kart. If you're not as invested as me, obviously you're not going to pay that. And I wouldn't blame you for paying that. It's like the same, like Smash Bros. Like, yeah, you know, if you're Smash Bros, well, it's a $60 game. If you buy all the DLC, that's $120. That becomes a $120 game. And people don't talk about that, but that's totally how it works. I'm honestly hyped for Pokemon ZA. Always have been a Pokemon guy. So got the Switch for the Pokemon games. Yeah, and I'm glad I'm playing Pokemon ZA on the Switch 2, hopefully. Because I know that game's gonna run so much better on Switch 2. Like, I kind of worry how that game's going to run on the original Switch. Like, that does kind of worry me. Oh, I'm out of water. Oh. I'm just... Once we catch this Finizen, I'll go get some water and whatnot. Because do I want to move over to the news right now? You know what? Fuck. Let's move over to the news. We'll do the first story, which is about the PS5. Hopefully by that time we'll get Finizen, because I don't think we're too far away from getting it. We're like 60-something in right now, probably a little more than that. And I think our odds are pretty good. Admittedly, this could be an Applin thing, because Applin didn't work out well for us, 2 weeks ago? Yeah. So, for news stories, we have the PS5 price increase, which is the first thing we'll talk about. And then we have 3 stories about the Switch 2. The first one is about the cloud save data stuff. The second one is about the accessory pricing, because guess what? Certain things on the Switch 2 have increased in price. Because of Donald Trump's tariffs, things have gone up in price, and I do want to talk about that. And then finally, it was announced that pre-orders. Switch 2 pre-orders are happening April 24th. And of course, I want to give you guys all the information that we currently know. There are still some things we do not know, but there are some things we do know, so I do want to talk about that. You know, give you all the news. And then hopefully when we come in next week, I'll have been able to pre-order a Switch 2. There's so many features in ZA that do not turn me away, though. Like the removal of turn-based battles. See, I actually like the removal of turn-based battles. Pokemon, people always complain about how Pokemon is so similar. How, you know, they've basically just been remaking the same game for 30 years now. Yeah, no, removing turn-based battles, I am perfectly fine with that. I hope they add back the shiny charm. Yes, the fact that the shiny charm is not in Scarlet and Violet is such a massive oversight. Like, if we had had the shiny charm last week, I would have 100% gotten all the Poliwhirls I needed. But because we don't have it, I at least walked past 2 shiny Poliwhirls that I just I couldn't tell they were shiny because the shiny and the non-shiny look exactly the same, especially depending on the lighting. It's awful. It is awful, man. But I have hope that, no, they're going to do it right this time. At least I hope they do. I mean, it's crazy that they did it right on their first try and then fucked it up on their second try. Like, that doesn't happen all that often. Admittedly, it is Nintendo, so they've done it before. Okay, it's the Pokemon Company, but you know what I mean. Okay, so our first news story, Pokemon, or PS5. So the PS5 is getting a price increase. Now, if you are in the United States, so far, as of this moment, they have not announced a price increase for the PS4, for the PS5 in the United States. Legends Arceus was a dream for shiny hunting because that charm was so loud and bright, so it was impossible to miss. And Scarlet and Violet came around and said, hey, make you look at the very slight color change. Exactly. Mainly, not that I hate shiny hunting in this game, but it was just so much better in the previous one. So yeah, so as of this moment, they have not announced a price increase for the PS5 in the United States of America. I 100% think that announcement is coming. With Donald Trump's tariffs, which are anywhere from like 150 to 250% on China right now, they're going to have to mark up the price of the PS5. It is only a matter of time. But so far, they have not announced any price increases. Unless you are in Europe, the United Kingdom, Australia, and New Zealand. So if you are in any of those regions, they have announced price increases for the PS5. A 5-year-old console that normally at this point in its life would be going down in price? No, it's going up. Now, it's specifically the digital version. If you are in Europe, in the UK, the digital version of the PS5 is going up in price. If you are in Australia or New Zealand, it is both the digital and the physical version that's going up in price. Now, admittedly, I do have the numbers of the price increase. In Europe, the PS5 is now €500. In the UK, the PS5 digital is £429. In Australia, it is the digital version in Australia, $749 reduce. And if you're buying the disc drive version, you know, the PS5 with a disc drive, it is $829 reduce. That's, I think, over $100 increase from what somebody told me. That is huge. Admittedly, I could not double check that, but that's anywhere from like a $50 to a $100 price increase, which is crazy. And then in New Zealand, it is the digital version is 859 New Zealand dollars, and the standard edition with a Blu-ray player, you know, the disc drive, is 949 New Zealand dollars. Admittedly, I do not know the New Zealand dollar to USD conversion rate, but that's wild. Now, admittedly, you say that, right? I never understood digital consoles. What's the point of not letting it run disc games? That's because companies don't want you owning games. Companies don't like game preservation. But on the same, at least for the PS5, you can buy an external disc drive and plug it into a digital version of a console. And to be fair, in all these regions, the price of an external disc drive is actually going down in price. I think it's only by like $10, but it's going down at least a little bit. But yeah, everything is getting a price increase. I'm real quick, let me just look up New Zealand dollars to USD. Okay, 949 New Zealand dollars is $563, which I want to say the PS5 Pro is $600. The PS5 Pro is $700. Never mind. Fuck, man. That console, after these Trump tariffs, the PS5 Pro might be $1,000. Because the Switch, which was with Donald Trump's tariffs, if he hadn't put a 90-day pause on them, the Switch was going to go from $450 to $700. Potentially. That was like the maximum. So with those same tariffs, in fact, the tariffs have gotten worse, I could see the PS5 Pro being $1,000. That is totally possible. Not saying it's going to happen, but I think it is only a matter of time until we see these prices go up. Because it's crazy that these prices are going up in every other region, but I feel like there's a part PlayStation's waiting to announce the price increase with the hope that Donald Trump cancels these tariffs, but so far he doesn't seem to be. And yeah, so now it's going up, which is crazy. So the other thing that's going up is PS Plus. If you are in Canada, PS Plus is now $224 for the premium version, $189 for the extra version, and $109 for the essential version, the standard edition. It's basically a $20 price increase, $20, $30. That's wild. I see no reason why PS Plus is going up. And if it's going up in Canada, it's only a matter of time until it goes up in America. All right, we got our Finizens. We got them. Let me save. I'm going to BRB real quick. All right. Let me go get some water real quick. I will be right back, and we'll continue to talk about the Switch 2. But yeah, I cannot believe some of these PlayStation price increases. And it's only going to be worse in America. America is going to be so much worse because of these tariffs. These other regions don't have to worry about tariffs, but America does. It's going to be wild. Oh my gosh, I need to drink. start clearing out these finizens. It is so hot. You know, last week it was like, you know, it was like a cool, like, 60, 70 degrees. And now this week everything's jumped to like 80, 90. Fuck, man. It's so hot. Alright, so we just gotta clear out some finizens. And then we can move on to maybe Chart Cadet next? Oh no, we've got to do Chart Cadet and we've got to do Small Earth. I think it makes sense to do Chart Cadet next. Alright, so our next story is Zelda on Switch 2. So, it came out, this comes from Eurogamer. I got this from Eurogamer. If you go on Nintendo's website for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom on Switch 2, specifically the Switch 2 edition, on the American and the European websites, it says that Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom will not support cloud saves. You know, that service that is included in Nintendo Switch Online that works for like 99% of Switch games, including the original Breath of the Wild and the original Tears of the Kingdom. Yeah, for some reason, cloud saves are unsupported on the Switch 2 version of the game. Now, from what I can tell, you will still be able to transfer over your save data from your original Switch to your Switch 2 and use that in the Enhanced Edition. But once you move it over to the Enhanced Edition, you will no longer be able to make cloud save backups. So that way, if your Switch gets like lost or stolen or anything like that, you will not be able to recover your cloud save data. Kind of like Pokemon here. Why they are doing this, I have no fucking idea. Does it have something to do with that Zelda Notes thing? Because of how Zelda Notes work, can you not do cloud save data backup anymore? Is there, like, at least Pokemon has the bullshit excuse of, oh, they don't want cloud save data backups because then people could duplicate Pokemon. Is it a bullshit excuse? Yes. But at least I get it. At least I see where their bullshit's coming from, even if it's bullshit. I see zero reason for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom not to have cloud saves. Especially because the Switch 1 version already has cloud saves. I have no idea why it doesn't have it. Now, admittedly, if you go on the Japanese website, it still says it supports cloud saves. That is just something that they removed from the American and European versions of the website. Now, admittedly, it's just Zelda. It is not it's not Kirby, it's not Mario Party, it's not Metroid Prime. All those games still say they support cloud saves. But just Zelda. Why? Why is this a thing? This is I mentioned earlier, the Switch 2's problems are a price problem and a PR problem. This is just another thing where it's like, oh, you know, this system that we've had working on Switch for what, like 7 years now? Oh, now all of a sudden on a game that used to work with it, it's not going to work? Why? I don't know why. Just, it's not. And I don't get it. Just another fucking Nintendo PR issue that I do not understand. Like, there's no reason. I don't know what excuse they can give. I know Eurogamer reached out for a statement and Nintendo hasn't said anything. Because obviously they haven't. Because they can't say shit right now. Like, Nintendo's put out like one PR statement. And it's like blown up in their face immediately. So like, fuck, of course they're not going to say anything. But I just don't get it, man. There's weird Nintendo decisions. And then there's this shit. Like, what the fuck are you doing, Nintendo? Look at our two finizens. Shiny, I've been working so hard to get for so long now. I literally tried to get a shiny Finizen like a month after this game came out. And here we are like 3 years later. And I finally have it. What a pain. Oh my gosh, let me... Alright, so next we need Charcadet. At least, I'm thinking Charcadet, maybe Smoliv. That one... Will that one work? Is that one? Oh, yeah, I think that one up in the mountains. So, Nintendo's PR crisis continues, and I don't even have written down here. So, when Nintendo originally started releasing information on the Switch 2, they said the Switch 2 will have VRR support. Variable refreshing frame rates, or variable... I think it's variable refreshed frame rates. That's a thing that, you know, just allows games to refresh better on using an HDMI. It's just a simple feature, and it said the Switch 2 was going to have it, but yet for some reason this week Nintendo removed the VRR thing from the Switch 2's website. Now that does not mean the thing is gone forever on the system. They can patch it in an update later. That's what the PS5 did. The PS5 did not launch with variable refresh rates, but they patched it in later. So they can totally just do the same thing for Switch 2. But it's another weird Nintendo decision that I just, like, why announce it and then take it back? Like, if you were unsure, it's better not to say anything and then just be like, oh, surprise, we're gonna have variable refresh rates. What does variable refresh rates do? I have no idea. I know it works better for games like Cyberpunk. Like, that's why they announced it. At least I think that's why they announced it. But we'll see. Alright, our next Switch 2 story. This actually comes from GameStop, which is where I got the information. So, Nintendo announced pre-orders. Switch 2 pre-orders are going to take place April 24th. We'll talk about that more in a minute. But, when they announced pre-orders, GameStop put up a thing about all the prices. And so, the price of the Switch 2 will remain the same. It is $450 for just the console, and it is $500 for the bundle that includes Mario Kart 8. So those prices have not changed. However, something we talked about last week was that while, you know, Nintendo was kind of like worried about Switch 2 pre-orders because of the tariffs, Donald Trump canceled all the tariffs, except for the ones in China. Now, luckily, most Nintendo Switches are made in Vietnam, so that's not going to be an issue. Except, Nintendo accessories are made in China. That's stuff like a Pro Controller, extra Joy-Cons, an extra dock, a carrying case, the camera that the Switch 2 is going to have. All that stuff is made in China. So when Nintendo announced that pre-orders will be resuming, they did announce that those things that are made in China, the Switch 2 accessories, will have a price increase. Now, that's anywhere from like $1 to potentially $20. So the Switch 2 Pro Controller, previously it was $80, now it's $85. Switch 2 Joy-Cons, if you want a pair of 2 Joy-Cons, previously that was $90. Now it's $95. If you want another charging grip, like a grip for your Joy-Cons that has a charging port in it, that was previously $35. Now it's $39. $5 increase. If you want an extra Switch 2 like wrist strap, that previously was $13. Now it's $14. So that's only $1 increase. If you want those like Switch 2 wheels that they showed off in the Mario Kart Direct, previously those were $20, now they're $25. If you want that Switch 2 camera, You know, the one that you can hook up to your Switch and, you know, do camera stuff. Not the Piranha Plant one, like the actual official one. Previously it was $50, now it's $55. If you want a Switch 2 dock set, like an extra dock, previously it was $110, now it's $120. If you want a Switch 2 AC adapter, so just an extra AC adapter, because your Switch 1 AC adapter will not work, by the way. Originally it was $29, now it's $35, so what, that's like a $6 increase. If you wanted a carrying case with a screen protector, that was originally $33. Now it is $39.99, so that's $40. So that's what? That's like a $6 increase. $33.99, $39. And then if you want their special like all-in-one carrying case, which, you know, holds the Switch 2, it holds a dock, it holds chargers, controllers, all that stuff. That was originally $80, now it's $85. So I guess, yeah, most things are going up $1 to $10. So that's the price increases. You know, honestly, for how bad these Trump tariffs are getting, $5, I was honestly expecting it to be worse than $5. It does kind of suck that you're almost paying $100 for a new set of Joy-Cons. I mean, 90 was already kind of a lot. 100 is, yeah, 95 is, oh my god, that's so much. That is so much money. Now, another thing that announced it's getting a price increase, Amiibo. So already Nintendo had announced that Amiibos were going to go up in price. Originally, when Amiibos released, they were $13 to $14. It was, I can't remember if it was 13 or 14. And then around the time the Switch 2 came out, Amiibos went up to $16. Of course, not counting like the special ones like the Mega Yarn Yoshi or, you know, the Breath of the Wild Guardian. Right, Amiibos had already gone up in price. They went up to like $16, $17. With the Switch 2, Amiibos now cost $20. So like if you want that new like Tulin Amiibo or the new Sidon Amiibo, that's $20. The Street Fighter Amiibos were $30. They're doing 3 Street Fighter Amiibos, those were $30. That was before the price increase. GameStop confirmed earlier today that along with the Switch accessories going up, Amiibos are also going up. And those are going up by $10. So if you want a new, one of the 5 new Breath of the Wild Amiibos, admittedly we only know about 4 so far. If you want one of the 4 Breath of the Wild Amiibos, or Tears of the Kingdom, I mean, those are now $30 per Amiibo. 2 Amiibo now equal a $60 game. That's crazy. And that's tariffs. Again, they were originally supposed to be 20, so you could get 3 for the price of 1 game, which is already, again, kind of pushing it. And now they've gone up in price. Now, admittedly, when they went up in price, they usually went up in quality. So at least I've always given Nintendo that. At least for the Switch 2. But now it's just like, oh my god, $30. If I want, you know, to continue my Amiibo collection, which is almost complete, by the way. It's a pretty big collection. That's going to be $120 on top of a Switch 2, which is $500 because I'm buying the version with Mario Kart. And I also kind of wanted a Pro Controller. I don't think I'm going to get that Pro Controller now. That fucking sucks, man. Man, all of this just for cheaper eggs. And eggs are more expensive now than ever. That's all. They voted on this for cheaper eggs. And now everything is so much more expensive. And the economy is fucking spiraling. So that update came earlier today. That Amiibo thing came within like the past like 2 hours. That is a relatively recent update, by the way. Ooh. So yeah, so that's just the updates on the increased prices. Again, the main Switch is not effective. It's just accessories, and this is entirely Donald Trump's fault. He did this. He takes the blame. But what about the console? Did I say... I don't know if micro SD cards went up in price either. I don't know. I'll be honest. I already bought a Switch 2 micro SD card. I bought a 500 gigabyte one, which was already kind of expensive. Because, God, those Express SD cards are... Like, you can get a 500 gigabyte normal SD card for like 20, 30 bucks. Getting one for the Switch 2 was like double that. So that sucks. So we got the new price information, but again, at the same time, they announced that Switch 2 pre-orders will be happening April 24th. So that is a Thursday, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Thursday, April 24th. So 6 days away. So that's right around the corner. They open that day, and most stores open up at midnight, Eastern time. So it is important to note that if you are in a different time zone, they might open on the 23rd. Admittedly, I do not know about Canada, but at least in America, here are the dates we have so far. So we know GameStop opens up their pre-orders at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So that's on the 24th, 11 a.m., right before noon. So that's at least during the day. Again, Eastern time, that's what? 10 Central, 9 Mountain, 8 Pacific. Is that right? It's something like that. So we got that. So that's that's GameStop. Again, I admittedly don't know if they were the first one. Even though they announced the price increases first, I think they were the second one to announce pre-order prices. The first one I saw was Target. Target's pre-orders happen at 12 a.m. Eastern time on the 24th. So if you are in the US, that is 9 p.m. Pacific time on the 23rd, 10 p.m. Mountain time on the 23rd, and 11 p.m. Central time on the 23rd. So Target actually opens on the 23rd, unless you're on the East Coast. So that's when that one is. Best Buy. So I got a notification from Best Buy that made it look like they were opening at 12:01 Eastern time. So basically the same time as Target. But from what I understand, from rereading that email, it more seems to be that that's a that's a midnight release. That they will be doing a midnight release for the Switch 2, which, to be fair, GameStop is doing the same thing. So we don't know when Best Buy pre-orders go up. Currently reading a Splatoon manga on the internet. Oh, how is it? I've never actually read the Splatoon manga. I know it exists, and I know I should give it a try, but I've never read it. Let's see, next up. Walmart. Walmart's pre-orders open at 12 a.m. Eastern time, same time as Target. So that's... And all of these have been confirmed by The Verge. GameStop, Target, and Walmart. Those are all double confirmed. So basically, if you want a Switch 2 pre-order, you have to stay up until midnight. Unless you want to try GameStop the following morning, then go for that. Now, we don't know... We know Best Buy is doing pre-orders, we just don't know when yet. I'm going to guess they're probably going to do at 12 a.m. as well. The one we do not know about is Amazon. Because potentially, Amazon will not be doing Switch 2 pre-orders. As far as we know, Amazon is not going to be selling the Switch 2, and they will not be selling Switch 2 games. Why? I have no idea. It seems that, yeah, Amazon has no interest in selling the Switch 2. Did they have a falling out with Nintendo? Did something else happen? I have no idea. Admittedly, I have not bought a game from Amazon in a long time, but that's just kind of where we're at. Amazon has no interest. So, this one is Yuri. Hey, it's only the one I found. Really? Well, I know there's that, like, Squid Kid Comedy Hour manga that, from what I understand, people like. Admittedly, that's probably not on Internet Archive, though. You probably got to go to other websites for that one. But I wouldn't know where. So yeah, so most Switch 2 pre-orders seem to be going up at midnight. I'm going to be honest here. I'm kind of worried about getting a Switch 2 pre-order. Because like with this, so when the original, 8 years ago, when the original Switch went on pre-order, what I did was I went to a GameStop. I went in person to, I did not have a job at the time. I maybe had college courses, but that was later in the day. And instead, I went in person to a GameStop. I was there like half an hour before they opened. And it was me and like 3 other people. We sat outside a GameStop, and we were all able to pre-order the Switch, no issues. I went back to that same GameStop when the console released like 90 days later, and was actually the first person to pick it up. I somehow ended up first in line. And yeah. So that was, you know, that was my Switch 1 order experience. No issues whatsoever. I actually stayed up for 24 hours that day. I was up a full 24 hours because the Switch 1 Direct was so early in the morning. It was at like midnight because they did it at like a reasonable time in Japan, which meant it was at an awful time in America. No, I have not seen the Animal Crossing movie, but I have heard of it. So with the Switch 2 pre-orders, with all these people complaining about the Switch 2 and how expensive it is, I really hope that there's not going to be too many people going after pre-orders. I mean, of course, the scalpers will be there. You're going to have to fight against the scalpers. But my hope is just like, hey, you know, a bunch of people hate the price. They say it's too expensive. They say Mario Kart is too expensive. Maybe this thing won't actually be that hard to get. That, you know, if even like 30% of the people who would normally buy a Switch 2, it's priced out for them, potentially that'll make it easier, but we'll just kind of have to wait and see. I could 100% see this thing selling out in minutes. Supposedly, Nintendo has stocked like millions of these things. Nintendo has overproduced the Switch 2 with the hopes that, you know, there will be too many for scalpers to buy and it'll undercut the market. That literally is Nintendo's admitted strategy, is that their goal is to just make too many, and then people will be able to buy one and scalpers won't be as effective. I hope that's true. I fucking hope that's true. But in all my experiences with Nintendo consoles, they have always been a bitch and a half to pre-order. But, you know, people are mad at Nintendo right now. I hope, because I want to play that new Mario Kart, man. I fucking love Mario Kart. And yes, I do want the Mario Kart bundle. So I'm aiming to get that Mario Kart bundle on, you know, whatever the day is. And hopefully it works out. Hopefully it works out. By this time next week, I will know whether or not right on the show next week, we will talk about was I able to get a pre-order. The only one I probably won't be able to do is GameStop's. Because at 11 a.m. for GameStop, that kind of, you know, I'm at work then, so I won't be able to do it. Man. Found on Internet Archive both the original sub and the fan dub. I don't care for fan dubs. I am a dub guy. I can't do fan dubs. There are just certain little quirks about fan dubs that drive me crazy. Yeah, so those are the Switch 2 pre-orders. Are you getting a Switch 2? Are you gonna, you know, wait up until midnight to try to get one? Admittedly, for me, it's only like 10 p.m. because over here I'm on Mountain Time. 10 p.m. is not bad at all. The question is, do I try at Best Buy? Do I try at Target? Probably not going to try at Walmart because fuck Walmart. But, you know, Target... I've had both positive and negative experiences with Best Buy. Nah, I'm good. I probably won't get around to it, if I'm being honest. Probably not, anyways. I don't know. I'm going to bed, like, right after this. I have been up all day. It has been a day and a half for me. I love how every week I sit down and I'm like, oh, this week we're going to have time to talk about Moon Girl. And then every week we run out of time to talk about Moon Girl. One day we're just going to have to sit down and talk. I'm just going to do the Moon Girl episode, where we sit down and talk about Moon Girl for like an hour. And that's it. That's the only news that week. We're just doing Moon Girl and nothing else. Yeah. So I guess that takes us to WIBE. So what have I been enjoying? I got one food thing. I finally went to Popeyes. I know we've been talking about it for like 3 weeks now. Yes, but there was a reason I started later tonight. There's a reason, and I'll talk about it here in a minute. I was playing Splatoon. So we'll talk about Splatoon. I want to talk about, I've been replaying Mario Kart DS. 2 weeks ago, we did a 4-hour episode. Yeah, we did a 4-hour episode 2 weeks ago. So yes, I have done longer than an hour. We're almost about to hit 2 hours right now. We're 7 minutes away from 2 hours. We're probably going to go for like another half hour. Yeah, it was a long stream. My voice was gone after that. And I feel like I haven't recovered since then. Admittedly, allergies are also killing me right now. But, oh my gosh, I was so hoarse after that. So we got that. We got Mario Kart DS. And then I do want to talk about Daredevil. We had the season finale for Daredevil this week. So I do want to talk about it, because I do have some thoughts on it. Nothing that hasn't probably already been said before. But I do want to talk about Daredevil. And I think that's all I got time for. I really did want to go see Ryan Coogler's new movie, Sinners. I've heard Ryan Coogler's new movie is fantastic. And I do kind of want to go see it, but I just didn't have the time. I've been busy today. But hopefully, maybe by next week, I'll have seen it. And the week after that, we got Thunderbolts. Man, it's busy. Times are busy right now. All right, so let's talk about Popeyes. So, Popeyes did a Popeyes chicken. Best chicken sandwich, by the way. Their big gimmick this month has been a pickle menu. They have a chicken sandwich drenched in pickle juice with extra pickles. They have fried pickles. They did pickle lemonade, which is lemonade with pickle juice in it. Popeyes went big on pickles. And for the past 2 weeks, I've talked about how, oh, I want to go try out all this new pickle stuff. But Popeyes is on the other side of town and it's just too far away. But finally this week, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I've got some time. Let's go try these pickles. And I get there. They have the pickle chicken sandwich. They did not have the fried pickles. They did not have the pickle lemonade, which was the one I was really curious about. Like, what the fuck is pickle lemonade? But nope, they were sold out of everything but the pickle chicken sandwich. So if you hate pickles, which I see you do, you are not going to like this chicken sandwich. It is so strong with pickle flavor that, yeah, you taste it in every bite. On top of extra pickles, if you love pickles, oh my god, this sandwich is going to be amazing for you. Because it's already a Popeyes chicken sandwich. It's already really good. But they drench that fucker in pickle juice. And I'll be honest, I didn't hate it. I don't love pickles, but I don't hate them either. I'm very neutral on pickles. And for the pickle chicken sandwich, I do like a good fried pickle. Sometimes they can be... there's this one place I like that... Okay, there's this one place that's okay that does fried pickles, but they make their pickles too salty. But I was curious to try Popeyes, and I just couldn't. But the pickle chicken sandwich, it's fine. It's drenched in pickle juice, and it definitely does add something to the chicken sandwich. It's not like taking anything away, and it's already a good chicken sandwich. It's just very pickly. I did not hate it at all. If you like pickles, you're gonna like this. If you hate pickles, you're gonna hate this. Would I get it again? Maybe? Like, if I was like, oh yeah, you know, like one of my roommates was going to Popeyes, and they were like, hey, would you want another one of those pickle chicken sandwiches? And, you know, they've got the lemonade back. I'd probably say yes. But, like, is it one of those things where I'm, like, gonna go out of my way to get again? Kind of like the Little Caesars pretzel pizza, which I've already gotten 30 times since they brought it back. That's all I've been eating. I've eaten nothing but Little Caesars pretzel pizza for 30 days. My sodium is hitting critical levels. I'm filled. My blood is salt. Yeah, if you don't like pickles, you're not going to like this, but I thought it was fine. Hey, let's chart it up. So that was the one food thing I had. Yeah, it existed. I did, admittedly, Wendy's also has a new chicken sandwich. Wendy's has a new chicken sandwich, and they replaced their blueberry lemonade with tangerine lemonade. I only found this out because I went to Wendy's for breakfast, and I ordered a blueberry lemonade, and they told me, oh, we no longer have that. We instead have tangerine lemonade. So I ordered a tangerine lemonade, and then they gave me a pineapple. So I did try Wendy's new tangerine lemonade, and yeah, they just didn't have it. But I will say, that sucks. I really liked Wendy's blueberry pomegranate lemonade. If you never got to try it, I think Wendy's has pretty good lemonade, and in my opinion, the blueberry pomegranate was the best one. And I don't know if this is just like a temporary discontinued, or if they're just full on discontinuing it because it was the worst selling one. But oh my gosh. You need to take care of yourself. All that sodium is going to make your blood pressure is going to be high as shit. Yeah, I'm making a joke, obviously. All right? I'm making a joke. But the pretzel pizza from Little Caesars is really good, but it is very salty. But I love it. I love it just the same. Yeah, so I didn't get to try any of the Wendy's new stuff. It was whatever. I did, though, when I got... You know, Wendy's is... Everyone always talks about how good Wendy's chicken sandwiches are. I honestly really like salty and sweet mixed together. So people talk about how good Wendy's chicken sandwiches are. And for me, it's hit or miss. Sometimes Wendy's chicken sandwiches are really good, but other times they're just really dry, and I do not like them. This time, however, when I went and got one, it was perfect. Perfectly cooked. It was juicy. And it wasn't a chicken sandwich. It was one of those breakfast chicken sandwiches. It was just really good. Actually, oh shit, I actually did watch an anime. Oh my gosh, I completely forgot. I didn't add that to the list. I did watch an anime. What was it called? I do not remember because I did not like it so much. But I did watch an anime. I will potentially talk about it. Real quick, I paused it real quick because I really need to pee. I'm gonna pee. I'll be right back. Give me just 1 second. give me a minute. I'm looking up the anime I watched. I will find it. What's it called? I know it's Villainous. It's something Villainous. It's not I'm in love with the Villainous. It's not I'm the Villainous or I'm taming the final boss. It's not Villainous the Savior. It's not My Life is a Villainous, All Routes Lead to Doom. Here it is. I'll become a villainess who goes down in history. There we go. That's what it was called. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it here in a minute. Because, I did not love it. I didn't hate it, but I did not love it either. Alright. I guess let's get back into things. We'll talk about it at the end, if we have time, which I think we will. I watched it dubbed. It is a recent show. I think it came out in the past, like, year or two. Yeah, I watched it. Again, I think it's it's like a year old, if that. Let's talk about Splatoon real quick. So, as I've been talking about, my own mother has been playing Splatoon. She's currently in Splatoon 3. She's actually completing almost all of the game. At least the main story. She is currently in World 5. And she's actually like 100%ing everything. Like as she goes world to world, she's picking up all the sunken scrolls. She's picking up all the records. She's getting all the Sardinium. And she has basically 100%ed the first 5 worlds of Splatoon 3. She still has the final one. She hasn't even touched this World 6. But she has done the first 5. And honestly, outside of like 2 or 3 levels, she's been having a much better time with Splatoon 3. Maybe Splatoon 3 is easier than 2. Maybe all the work she put into 2 has made her better when it comes to 3. But so far, she's having a good time. She's making good progress. So, now that she's almost done with Splatoon 3, you know, the final boss of Splatoon 3 is Mr. Grizz. She has no idea who Mr. Grizz is because she's never played Salmon Run. So, after I got off work today, I went over to my parents' place and I taught her how to play Salmon Run. Because I want her to know who Mr. Grizz is. So that's why the stream started so late today. Because I was teaching my mother how to play Salmon Run. And like, I knew she was going to struggle. Because like, she already kind of struggles killing enemies and whatnot in the normal campaigns. So going into Salmon Run, I was like, there's going to be some issues. I was hoping that, I'll be, because, we can play together. So I was like, maybe things will go a little easier this time. Because she has me there to back her up. And for the most part, things didn't go too well. We were kind of struck, because, she's an apprentice. I'm professional level, like, 4. I've dropped, like, 2. I think I'm now professional level 2. I dropped, like, 2 levels today. But, I kind of know what I know. I'm not an overfisher by any means. But at least in Splatoon 3, I know what I'm doing. So, I was trying to, like, help her out. Get through it. And I played with her for a while. And then afterwards, I was like, I want you to play on your own with other people who are around your level. And since then, she played a bunch more rounds. She got stuck with some really shitty teammates. Like, there were times where it's like 3 people were dead. They're all around the last player. And the last player just refuses to revive them. Or there's 2 of them down right next to each other. And the last player just runs past them. And doesn't get up either of them. Goes and kills the enemy. And then revives them. But by the time they go back to revive them, it's too late and the time's up. Wish I could get my mom to play a video game. Someone did it. She was walking in circles in a river. You just gotta find the right games. You know, you gotta have... They need to be willing to commit a little bit, but you also just gotta find, like, easier games. Admittedly, like, starting her off with Breath of the Wild probably wasn't the best idea, but, you know, to be fair, that's more recent. Years ago, I started her with Kirby. But no, so she's been doing Salmon Run. She's actually kind of addicted to Salmon Run. Like, even though she's only won, like, maybe 5 games out of played, like, 20, she is kind of enjoying it. Like, she sees the, like, addictive quality in it. You know, getting those, like, because she's only apprentice level. The highest goal she's seen so far is get, like, 9 eggs, which that's just 3 bosses killed. But yeah, no, she's been able to do it multiple times. She's been on some shitty teams. She's made her own handful of mistakes. At one point, they needed, I think, 5 eggs. They had turned in 4. She grabbed the 5th and was running back towards the basket. And on her way back to the basket, she accidentally fell in the water with like 5 seconds left. If she hadn't fallen in the water, she would have made it to the goal and they would have beaten the round. But because she accidentally went in the water, they lost the round. She fought Megalodontus. She did good enough to have a chance to fight Megalodontus. And they did okay. They didn't beat it, but they got more than half health. But yeah, no, she finally played Salmon Run, you know. She's seen some of it. I don't know how helpful it's gonna be. My hope is that she does some Salmon Run before she plays Side Order, and it potentially helps her with Side Order at least a little bit. Because while they are 2 very different things, at least some of the skills are transferable, in theory anyways. So we'll see how it plays out. But I could definitely tell, even though she didn't like say she was really enjoying it, the fact that she kept wanting to go another round, yeah, no, she was having a good time even when she was losing. So I'm glad. I'm glad. She'll probably beat the story within like a week. She's really close to beating the story. She likes Candy Crush. Get her to play Tetris Effect. Boom, there's your gate. One puzzle game to another. There's your gateway. I mean, moms love Tetris. Why do you think the Game Boy is one of the best-selling consoles of all time? That's no joke, by the way. Part of the reason the Game Boy was so successful is because mothers loved Tetris back in the day. But yeah, no, so that's where she is. You know, I played some rounds with her, and then I had her do some rounds on her own. Yeah. And we were, me and her together, while of course we were going off against more enemies and harder enemies, we were able to get some rounds done. We were able to successfully complete a round. Which, yeah. I do like Salmon Run, even if I'm not too good at it. Like, I know what I'm doing, but I'm not exactly good. I still do like Salmon Run. I'm glad it's now 24 hours instead of Splatoon 2's. Oh, you can only do it once every like day or 2. No, I'm glad they fixed some of that shit. Even if it's got other problems, like don't even get me started on the gold scale thing. I mean, they fixed that eventually, kind of, but it still kind of sucks, and I still kind of hate the bosses. Not because they're badly designed, just because they're a bitch and a half to beat. So that's where she's been going on that. I'm sure, I would not be surprised if by this time next week, she's beaten Splatoon 3. At least the main story. I'm thinking there is the final level of Splatoon 3 that you get for beating everything else. She will probably unlock that level when she beats the game. So I'm thinking I'm gonna have her try it. I don't think she'll be able to beat it, but I'm gonna at least have her like try it. And if she just makes it to the Octarian section at the end, the final segment where you have to fight the Octoling girls, as long as she makes it that far, I'm basically going to count it as a victory for her. Because that segment fucking sucks. And I don't know if she'd be able to beat that. But everything else, I think she could beat the platforming stuff. I think she could do everything else. But that segment fucking sucks. Yeah, I will say, I think Splatoon 3 is more accessible than Splatoon 2. And more accessible than Splatoon 1. Like, if someone has never played these... Obviously, you'd recommend the newest one anyways. But even, like, story-wise, I feel like Splatoon 3 is just more accessible in general. I even took a stab at... because when I got over... She was playing that one level where you have to use the bow to blow up the boxes. And you're, like, riding on a rail. It's a World 5 level. And I was like, oh, I just booted up my own copy on my own Switch. And gave that level a try to see if I could still do it. Because she's really... That's... If one level is going to stop her from 100%ing it, it's going to be that one. Because, like, some of those rail levels in the Octo expansion, where you had to break the boxes, are really difficult. So that's what she's been playing. What have I been playing? I booted up Mario Kart DS. I did this earlier in the week. I did this on, like, Tuesday, maybe even Monday. Because I just, you know, with all this talk about a new Mario Kart, with the potential for a Mario Kart adventure mode, it kind of got me thinking about Mario Kart again. And I was like, oh, you know, I really like Mario Kart. I liked Mario Kart DS's adventure mode. Does it hold up? That was what I was curious about. I didn't realize that was a shiny Smoliv at first. Does Mario Kart DS's adventure mode hold up? Kind of. I admittedly did not play I only played it for like 2 hours. So I only got through like the first few worlds. There are elements of it that I think are good. Like, I like some of the ideas for some of the missions. I like the ideas for boss fights. I think having to like fight like the Super Mario 64 bosses is a really good idea. But like some of the missions are good, right? Like they have some good ideas. Like there was one early on that was like, oh, you gotta drive through the Luigi's Mansion level, but you gotta do it backwards. And it's like, okay, you know, I see why that could be interesting. There are some that's like, oh, just drive through the rings, collect all the coins. It is really weird getting used to Mario Kart DS's drift. Like, I'm pretty sure to drift in Mario Kart DS, you kind of have to, like, rock the stick back and forth. At least that's what it felt like to me. I really like how Mario Kart 8 drifts. I guess I should say that, is that I'm so used to Mario Kart 8's drift that going back to DS, it's like a whole different ball game. But so far, yeah, I've been enjoying it. I kind of want to get... We already found another. I kind of want to get to Wiggler, because as a kid... So, back in the day, if you wanted to cheat in a DS game, you bought this thing called an action replay. And I used the action replay in Mario Kart DS. And you could use that to unlock this secret 7th world that I had no idea existed. And it's like, oh, you get to the secret 7th world, and you can fight Wiggler? And that was like, you know, like that Mew under the truck thing. Imagine if that was real. That was Wiggler as a kid for me. Where it was like, oh, there's a secret 7th world where you get to race against Wiggler. And I was like, oh, that's the coolest thing ever. I love that. So I was blown away by that as a kid. But now I'm like, I guess I can kind of work towards that. I don't know. I admittedly do not know what you have to do to unlock it. Or even if you can unlock it, admittedly. But yeah, you know, it's Mario Kart DS. I've got a soft spot for it. Is it actually that good? I have no idea. But I might be a little blinded by nostalgia. Because I really do consider Mario Kart DS my first Mario Kart game. Like, yeah, I'd played 64 before it. I don't think I played Double Dash. I do not remember if I played Wii. I might have played Wii before, but like my cousin's Wii. But DS was the first one I personally owned, because I didn't own Super Circuit. Even though I had a Game Boy. It was I bought weird games as a kid. When I think back to my time with the Game Boy Advanced, I bought some really weird games. I bought almost, outside of Pokemon, I bought like no Nintendo games. It really wasn't until the DS where I was like, oh yeah, you gotta buy the games made by Nintendo to get the best games out of the console. But yeah, so far, you know, Mario DS, so far, it's from what we've seen of Mario Kart World, it looks like World is taking some influence from DS's mission mode, which I think is a good thing. It's going to be a little bit, you know, because it's in an open world, it's a lot less, like, specific than DS, which was, like, very, like, challenge-oriented, but I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't know, hopefully I'll have more to say about it next week as I continue playing it. For the moment, you know, I'm having a good time. Good enough anyways. I'm sure I'll get to some bullshit that'll piss me off, but I haven't gotten there yet. Next up, let's talk about Daredevil. So, spoiler alert for Daredevil, Season 1, Episode 9, the Season 1 finale. I don't really care for this episode. It feels very anticlimactic. So, I think the episode starts off very strong. Right, in the last episode, Matt Murdock took a bullet for Kingpin. Big deal. Great ending. And this episode, of course, we find out he's alive. And, you know, now the city's in blackout. Matt has to go out there, you know, stop Kingpin, save the city. Frank Castles is there. The Punisher is there. And he's going to, like, back him up. Karen called him to, you know, make sure Matt is safe while she's flying back from California, and she shows up eventually. So it's like, okay, cool, we're getting some of this set up. I think most of the fight scenes are good. I've seen some people complain that, no, the fight scenes actually are shit if you compare it to the Netflix show. I am not going to be comparing it to the Netflix show. I never saw the third season of the Netflix show. There's a lot of shit I do not remember from seasons 1 and 2. I do not have the ability to make that comparison. I'm sure if you compare it to the Netflix show, this show is actually garbage in comparison. But from what I've seen, you know, I think it's mostly good. I think the action is mostly enjoyable. I'm glad we don't get a SNES Rainbow Road. Yeah, I get that. I actually don't mind SNES Rainbow Road, but I get why you would. I totally do. But yeah, I liked seeing Frank Castle, because the show has an R rating. They're willing to get bloody. They're willing to get violent. Admittedly, I wish the blood was more practical effects. Like, all the blood felt like CGI blood splatter. I wish they had done more practical things. But I think some of the shots are cool. Some of the killings are good, nice, bloody. They've got some weight to it. I would love to see Coconut Mall again. But who doesn't love Coconut Mall? I hope they make some changes to it, though. I hope they make some changes to Coconut Mall. Like, I hope we get the Coconut Mall expansion. Like, double its size. That'd be cool. But yeah, I liked some of the stuff in this episode. I feel like the first half of this episode was good. The tension with Kingpin, you know, he tells the woman who's been working as, like, his campaign advisor, basically he gives her an ultimatum of, like, you're either with me or you're against me, and fire everybody who's against me. The police commissioner is going to take it up to the New York Supreme Court to get rid of Kingpin from office. And then, again, spoiler alert for the episode. Kingpin murders the guy by caving in his skull with his bare hands. And, like, I know he did stuff like that in the Netflix show. So, like, on one hand, this is just, like, a poor imitation of that. But it's still, like, oh, God. Like, it's still a very, like... And he also breaks his jaw as well. Like, I definitely got that reaction. So, like, there are some good moments in this episode. But what kills this episode for me, and kind of some of my momentum for the season as a whole, is the ending. So most of the episode, the city's in a blackout. And I love that they have the stars in the background, that presumably for people in New York, this is the first time they're ever seeing the stars. That's great. And they bring it up at one point where where Karen's like, Matt, I asked you what it's like to live in darkness. and you told me I'm not in darkness. I just see thousands of lights or something. It was some sort of, presumably it's a callback, but you know, having that with the night sky in the background and, you know, seeing the galaxies. I'm waiting for Neil deGrasse Tyson to say, is that an accurate New York sky? Because I know that's the shit that Neil deGrasse Tyson cares about. But no, I think that's good. I think the backdrop of the night sky is good. The blackout. I have seen a lot of people's complaints that they wish there were other superheroes here. Now, I'm not saying we had to see Spider-Man. I don't think we needed to see Doctor Strange or Luke Cage or Jessica Jones. I don't think we needed to see them, but it would have been nice, even if they just like at one point Frank steals a radio, and like imagine if he was listening to that radio, and you know, from the task force, and they mentioned like, oh, Spider-Man got away, or you know, we're still on the lookout for Spider-Man. Just like little mentions that like Spider-Man is out there, he's doing stuff. That would have been nice. I would have liked to have, or even just show the costume. I don't need you to bring Tom Holland back. Just show the costume. But I know rights and whatnot. It's a whole thing. But that would have been nice. Or again, have Jessica Jones at the bar at the end. Have Jessica Jones, Luke Cage. They have their kid. Because admittedly, I don't know where the Netflix show ended, but in the comics, Jessica Jones and Luke Cage have a kid together. And so if we found out that, hey, in this universe they have a kid, that would have been cool. But no, instead you get the ending shot of Matt Murdock being like, we need to put together a group of heroes. And it's the bartender, the one not corrupt cop. Well, there's a few others. The lawyer. It's just like, it's such an underwhelming ending. Because, like, Matt, originally his plan is to, like, go in and, like, basically kill himself trying to kill Kingpin. And Karen convinces him not to do it. But then the final shot is just kind of like, oh, well, I guess we're going to put together a group of heroes. I heard somewheres that originally this show was supposed to be double the episodes. But they basically cut the season in half. And yeah, I totally believe it. Because, well, I think when it comes to the ending of the season, the Vanessa Kingpin stuff ends on a good note. Kingpin's, you know, he's taking control of the city. His anti-vigilante task force is captured. You know, they captured Swordsmaster. They captured Frank Castles. They captured a bunch of other people. So, like, okay, Kingpin wins at the end of the episode. So that's, you know, I get how they can get an ending out of that. But the Daredevil stuff kind of sucks. Something I had been waiting for all season was you have all these corrupt cops who are inspired by the Punisher. Like, they look up to the Punisher. They see him as their hero, and they want to be like him. So I was waiting for this moment where, you know, you get this moment where Frank Castles is tied down, and he's surrounded by all these corrupt cops who are like, we look up to you. We admire you. And I wanted Frank to just call them out, tell them to go fuck themselves, that they don't represent him. They don't know what he's been through, that to be a cop who admires the Punisher means you're a shitty fucking cop. And then they just don't do that. Like, yeah, he calls them out and says, like, you don't know my story. You don't know what I've been through. And that's it. It's like 2 sentences. And it's so fucking underwhelming. Admittedly, before that scene, he does murder a bunch of those cops. And that's a little bit cathartic. But I really wanted the Punisher to, like, tear down these cops. Give this big speech that tells them to fuck off. Because the Punisher in the Netflix show, from what I remember, gave some really good speeches. Like, he gives Daredevil, like, this, like, speech that's like, you're one bad day from becoming me. And I remember it being a really good moment. So I really wanted something big here. And they just didn't do it. And you could argue that's one of the biggest problems with the show, is that the show clearly wants to talk about politics. Be that, you know, Frank Castle and the corrupt cops, Kingpin being in some ways a stand-in for Donald Trump, right? Like, there are clearly, like, metaphors here, but they're so shitty. Like, they're clearly just not thought out that well, or they just don't want to follow through. They're like, hey, Kingpin and Donald Trump, why don't you think about it? And that's it. They don't have anything to say about it. They just want you to think about it. Oh, wow, they're both corrupt assholes. Oh, shit, no surprise there. It's a whole thing. I think the ending is underwhelming. Am I annoyed that Heather is now working for Kingpin as like his secretary of mental health or whatever? Yes. Do I still kind of feel like the show wasted Muse? Also, yes. I don't know. I've got problems with the show. I did like some of it. Some of it was good. The last time we saw Frank Castles in the show, in like episode 4, that was really good. But for the most part, it just kind of fucking ends, man. I wanted something a little bit more. And now I do think that some of this crossover stuff, I could totally see them doing next season. Earlier in the season, they set up that Daredevil, Matt Murdock, knows Kamala Khan's dad. He helps him out when the bank gets robbed. They also set up at the end of the season that Swordsmaster, who is Kate Bishop's stepfather, has been arrested by Kingpin. So I think with those two, you could do an episode next season, which is Matt Murdock, Miss Marvel, Hawkeye, and maybe Cassie Lang is also there, saving Swordsmaster from Kingpin. I feel like that's a very obvious place to go for the next episode, or for some episode next season, that it's, you know, the Young Avengers plus Daredevil saving all the imprisoned heroes in the port. That seems like a very obvious episode to me that they did set up this season. There are multiple points that set it up. The question just is, are they going to do it? Is that going to, because I don't know what's going on with the Young Avengers. Is it going to be a movie? Is it going to be a TV show? Are they even going to do Young Avengers anymore? I have no idea. But they clearly set it up. They clearly set up something there. But yeah, I was kind of just underwhelmed. If I had to rate the show as a whole, I'd say like an 8 out of 10, maybe a 7. I don't know. Right now, I'm kind of low on it, but I have been high previously in the series. So I'm just going to say an 8. Is it the best MCU show? No, but is it the worst? Also no, because Secret Invasion was fucking awful. Man, I fucking hated Secret Invasion. Alright, let's talk anime real quick. I'm just going to get into this real quick, and then we're going to end off. We got like 40 small lives to kill. Let's just do this real quick. So, I watched a show called I'll Become the Villainess Who Goes Down in History. It's an isekai. My favorite subgenre of isekai is Villainess isekai, which is about a girl who gets put into an otome game, but she's the villain. And somehow through the events of the show, she has to find a way to change her fate, because normally at the end of the game, she dies. So this show takes that approach, right? Main character used to play this otome game, she died, and now she's been isekai'd as the villainess. But the difference with this show is that in most other shows, they try not to be evil, because by being nice, they hope that they won't die, right? They can change their fate. Not this one. In this one, she's like, no, I, as the villain of the story, have an important role to play in the story. And to fulfill that role, I have to be evil. And like, that's at least different. But can I be honest? I just didn't find it that interesting. I didn't find the main character that likable. There's a bunch of weird time skips. Like, most of the time, the show starts off with a kid, and then it goes to them in high school. In this one, you get like these weird time skips where it's like, okay, we're going to go to a few years later. Then we're going to go to a few years after that. Then they're in high school. Then we're going to jump a year forwards in high school for no reason. The time skips are a mess. The characters just aren't. I didn't find the girl likable. Like, there's this classic quote of, I'm a villain, but I'm not evil. Right? Like, hey, I'm a villain. I'm, selfish. I'm, greedy, whatnot. But I'm not a bad person. Like, I'm not going to indiscriminately murder. I'm not gonna like take slaves. I'm not gonna rape or kill. And that's kind of what the main character of this show is like. Like, yeah, she's, you know, mean, she's catty, she puts people in their place and people don't like her. But she's not like, she's not gonna like murder you. She's a bad guy, but she's not a bad guy. And I feel like if she had just actually been evil, it would have been more interesting. Now, they do one interesting thing. The hero, so, because she's the villain of the game, there is still a hero in the game. And the hero of the game has this passive ability that's kind of like mind control that makes everybody like her. Unless, of course, like, you have a really strong magic level. Like the main character, like the main character of the prince. And I kind of like that idea that, like, she's unconsciously mind controlling everybody else to agree with her. And, like, when she, like, thinks, like, oh, like, out externally, she's trying to be friends with our main character, but internally she's like, I hate you. And her internal thoughts get projected to everybody else in the school that makes everybody else hate her. There's a good idea there. And they do some interesting things with it, but at the end of the day, the show kind of like undercuts it. Like, they never go too far with it. And then, of course, the ending, right? She doesn't die at the end, but instead she gets banished. So, like, they're clearly setting up a second season. Hey, we found one more. But overall, I just wasn't too impressed. I didn't really like the characters. Normally, these isekais are really generic, and this one's no exception. But usually I like the characters. Like the other two ones I said earlier. My Life as a Villainess, All Routes Lead to Doom, and I'm the Villainess, so I'm taming the final boss. I really like those shows. I'm in Love with the Villainess is another one. The Minecraft movie is not an isekai. Nobody dies. Otherwise, I would agree with you. Now, there is a Minecraft book called The Island that is an isekai. That does exist, but the Minecraft movie is not an isekai, because nobody dies. But yeah, overall, I just was not too impressed with the show. Any of those other three shows, I'm Taming the Villainess, I'm in Love with the Villainess, or, you know, My Life as a Villainess, I think all do it better, because at least the characters are more likable. Like, at least those characters, I personally like them. I like Miss Claire. I like Katarina Clays. I can't remember what the third one is, but, you know, I like some of those characters. But this one, it just didn't do it for me. It just didn't do it for me, and I was just kind of underwhelmed. I mean, it's the same thing as the Minecraft movie. Alright, so that was an anime I do not recommend. I guess with that, let's head over to the city and let's wrap things up. Actually, any last things? I don't know, I could see the show getting a second season, but I don't think it's going to. I don't know. Again, I like these villainous animes, and this one just didn't do it for me. There's another one I have to watch that's like the level 99 boss or something. I added it to my list, but I don't know if I'm actually going to watch it. Alright, so that takes us to the outro. So what's coming up in the future? What are we doing in the future? Next week we'll be back, and, you know, by this time next week, I will know whether or not I was able to get my Switch 2 pre-order. Hopefully I was able to get one. You know, that would be very nice if I was able to get a Switch 2, but we'll know. Other than that, you know, we still got 3 more shinies to hunt, so I'm sure we'll do that next week. At some point, we got to talk about Moon Girl. I just don't raid, because I'm such a small channel, and you're the only person watching. That's why. But yeah, that's where we're gonna end off for tonight. I don't really have any plans, you know. We'll be back next week. More Pokemon, more things to talk about. Yeah. Any final words? I don't know. I can't think of anything else. So, yeah. With that... Yeah, that's cool. I guess. Yeah, I know I should. I just don't. I'm a bad streamer anyways. Pokemon Z looks bad. Yeah. All right. With that, I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, peace.